Can you tell me what your names are and where you're from?
I'm Lorraine, I'm from Grantham. I'm Kirsty and I'm from Grantham. Not long turned 17.
Walk back. Oh, when you work it out, walk back. You walk away. I remember the day you said you're leaving, gonna go your own way.
Go ahead, caller. What's the location of the emergency, please?
It's on the front route and through to Grantham Road.
What's gone on there?
There's a red Volvo saloon come over the bridge, hit a coach carrying school children.
That sounds a bad one. It's near Grantham, so they'll send the local incident response vehicle, the IRV, first. If it's a fatal, they'll probably give me a call. That really does sound as though it might turn fatal. The road is closed and people trapped. Thank goodness none of the kids on board the bus have been injured. And let's hope the teachers can keep them from having to look at the casualties.
Fire and rescue! Stay where you are! Stay still!
This is the cutting equipment, the Weber gear. It's an awesome piece of kit. It will cut through a car like scissors through paper. It's large and it's heavy and it makes a lot of noise. It's the noise, it stays with the casualty. It sends shockwaves through the car. And even though you tell a casualty, they'll still react to that noise.
I went to this crash scene once and there was a young lad who was laid on his back in the road away from the car. He was unresponsive. There was a young girl in the car. She was screaming and shouting, obviously trapped. I got my defibrillator to check his heart. He was in cardiac arrest. There was blood. It was coming from his nose, eyes, mouth. He was a really poorly lad. I inserted an airway and I started chest compressions on him, and blood spurted up from his mouth and covered me. By that point, the fire service had released the girl and she came running over. She could see that he was dying in front of us, just grabbed hold of my arm, kept screaming at me, begging me to save him. Everything went into slow motion for me at that point, and I looked up for a split second to notice 4 or 5 passers-by, leant against the back of this car in front of me, arms folded, just watching me working on that lad covered in blood. I often think about that lad.
Debbie handed the mobile phone to me. My husband, Les, said, "Brace yourself for some shocking news. Stephen is in hospital with severe head injuries, to be transferred to Nottingham." I did not know if Stephen would survive.
That's my collision. That's my car. That nearly killed me. My name is Stephen. That collision was in September 2005. About 8:30 in the morning. I was on my way to work. Firstly though, let me apologise for having my words written down. Since my accident, my memory has been badly affected.
We tried to get them out within 20 minutes to give them a reasonable chance of survival. We might have to cause the casualty pain to get them out of that vehicle.
When I came round, I didn't even know that Dan was my wife. At home I had to relearn how to be a husband and a father. My baby crying irritated me. Thank God Diane was there for me. I know it's been a terrible time for her. It's like she's had to bring up 3 children. The hole in my head didn't help. The head injury in the accident caused my brain to swell. They had to take a piece of my skull out to allow my brain to expand without killing me. This is the piece of skull.
Drivers, you're not superhuman. You don't have this invincible bubble around you when you're sat in your car. I get so angry when a driver has acted irresponsibly. It's such a waste of life, and it affects so many other people.
You can slow down. I didn't. And look what's happened to me. I'm lucky to be alive. I got it wrong because I was overconfident and thoughtless. It happened to me. Please, please, don't let it happen to you.
You might now be asking, what's a businessman like me doing talking to you about road safety? Well, I'm sure Stephen won't mind me saying that despite his horrific injuries, he survived the crash and is slowly getting better. My daughter Kirsty didn't. Kirsty was killed 7.5 years ago and was about the same age as you are now. Kirsty was a rear seat passenger in a car that was simply travelling too fast. I'm still grieving. My family are still grieving. Don't, like me, have to suffer the grief of losing someone you love so dearly. Because believe me, it hurts. It hurts. Just thinking about Kirsty and the things we'll never do together. That is my Kirsty's favourite record.
What did you think about the show compared to what you was expecting before?
It actually really moved me, because obviously I've got close people to me that have been in accidents and people have told me what's happened first hand, and even then it didn't feel real, and now I've seen the pictures and seen that girl's dad, it really hit home hard what they have to go through that on their own.
All in all, I thought it was really good. It's quite emotional stuff actually.
It was really shocking, it just made such an impact on everybody, and it was like you just get to see from a close point of view.
I was really shocked about Lincolnshire being the highest in the UK. That really scared me, because I'll be driving soon. I don't want to now. It's really frightened me now.
A lot of people's views would have changed now, especially mine. I just wanted to start driving, get behind the wheel, and I figured now there's a lot more responsibility to be taken on.
Like, one will die before I go to bed. That is a really scary statistic.
Yeah, you don't tend to think about it, but when it's just put right in your face like that, you really do think about it, and it frightens you a little bit. So it made a big impact.
Factors of the public services and how they're trying to help, it's like, that's really good of them. What they have to see and what they hear, smell, the senses, like people dying and things. I don't know how they do it.
I never thought like paramedics, and you didn't think they'd feel under pressure, like you think they'd be used to it, but obviously he said like it petrifies them every time, and I didn't think they felt like that before.